right, so the Michigan Senate primary just got a whole lot weirder when right-wing fascist freakazoid Jake Lang tried to interrupt Abdul El-Sayed's weekend rally where he is slated to speak with both Bernie Sanders and AOC. But in short, this whole affair did not go Jake Lang's way, and he was completely humiliated by El-Sayed after he got escorted out by security. And frankly, it's an amazing speech that El-Sayed gives here, so take a look.
Why are you persecuting me?
We're gonna climb him out. The reason I wanted to clap him out to USA is because he doesn't hate me, he doesn't hate AG, he don't even hate you. You know what he hates? He hates America. He hates the idea of what America was always supposed to be. Of the people, by the people, and for the people. Where it should not matter the color of your skin, should not matter how you pray, should not matter who you love, that you can be fully and 100% America. He hates that America. He wants America to be small. He wants America to be like him. He wants America to be hateful. He wants America to be a place that does not include. And every day that we go out there and we knock on those doors, we make an argument about what America actually is. An America that is bigger than his hate. An America that is bigger than the small-mindedness that he brings to this. An America that has a bigger heart than the one that he has. An America that is bigger than a Donald Trump who thinks that some people don't get to belong here because of their color of their skin. An America that is bigger than the idea that we all can come together and pray how we choose or not pray at all. An America that is bigger than Mike Rogers and the corporate corruption that they all take to run these campaigns to pick our pocket. The America they believe in is one where a few people who look a particular way get to siphon off your money to make billions. That's the America they want. That's the America he represents. That's the America he's so mad he didn't get. And as much as that's an ugly display of the America they want for us, this here is a beautiful display of the America we can yet build.
A little bit of a longer clip than usual, but I thought it pretty necessary to really drive home the point that El-Sayed is trying to make here, that these right-wing fanatics are just complete losers, right? They're such petulant little babies. They're losers. They are these angry little children with no grasp on reality, and they're just kicking and screaming because their worldview is dying out, and they're just so pissed off about it. And I love that Abdul uses the USA chant, because patriotism has unfortunately been largely co-opted by the right and conservatives at large to be something that it doesn't have to be, right? They've made it this kind of dirty thing, and a lot of leftists and progressives especially are kind of wary of even approaching the idea of patriotism because the right has made it more nationalistic and whatever it may be. But as this protester talks about here, there is a little bit that we can do to try to take it back.
The right has co-opted this idea of patriotism. They think they're the only ones that can be patriotic, and the only way to be patriotic is by being America first, which is essentially like a white nationalist idea. So really, I think it's up to people like us, people on the left, to reclaim some degree of patriotism. You know, I obviously have my reservations about the country. I have my reservations about everything going on in the world and our role in it. But with that said, you have to be patriotic. Otherwise, we're just giving it away. We're giving it away to the right.
Yeah, and I agree. We cannot let right-wingers and racists like Jake Lang stop us from enjoying all of the parts of this country that do make it beautiful and amazing, right? Celebrating our diversity, our uniqueness, our ability to grow and change as a nation and work against a lot of these corporate forces that have brainwashed so many people into believing that celebrating and loving America means that you inherently support and love Donald Trump and being a bigot, right? That's just not true. Damn, this really feels like a 4th of July video. It's July 18th. It's close enough. Happy 4th, everybody. But going back to what Abdul was talking about, these people are pissed that their worldview is collapsing. However, that's only possible because of the strides that progressives and left-wing people have made over these past few years. And we have to keep fighting. We have to keep pushing for a better tomorrow because large amounts of inequality still exist, right? In Michigan and all across the United States, as Abdul talks about right here. Take a look.
You know, the big question for us is, what should the best use of our tax dollars be? You know, there are communities in Michigan where the median income is $14,000. Those schools look like they did 50 years ago. Kids are struggling to learn in overcrowded classrooms. In those communities, there are barely functional clinics. If they're not being closed already, they're being privatized. And the question to me is, how dare we advocate for sending our money to a foreign government to annihilate other people when we could be using our money to save lives in those communities right there? And That's what I'm focused on. Now, everybody wants to focus on what's happening 6,000 miles away. I'm just saying that the focus ought to be what's happening right here in our own neighborhoods.
And Abdul, as always, is right on the money, focusing on spending our tax dollars here at home to make the lives of those here better and safer and more reliable. And that's really what it's all about, right? And a major step in that is not letting corporate politicians take power, like Abdul's main opponent, Haley Stevens, who has taken more than $50 million in corporate donations, PAC donations, APAC money for her campaign. Her list of corporate donors is huge, and here's a list. Shout out to Rashida Tlaib for putting this all together, but it includes AT&T, BlackRock, Jeff Bezos' space organization, Blue Origin, Boeing. We're not going through the whole list here, but like DoorDash, McDonald's. Why do you think they're spending all this money on her campaign, right? They're just giving her money for no reason? Of course not, right? They expect something in return. They expect her to be a corporate-friendly senator, unlike Abdul El-Sayed, which has taken goose egg, $0 in corporate donations. And beyond all of these private equity, whatever it may be, donations, the Haley Stevens camp has now started using that money, paying influencers and online personalities to boister her campaign, saying shit like, she's growing on me. And they all posted this at the same time, so the checks must have just cleared or something, but this is not even like crazy. Like, there's 4 posts right here of people, Haley Stevens is growing on me. Don't kill me, but she's growing on me. She's growing on me, and I can't help it. I gotta be honest, she's grown on me. What the fuck? It's just very strange, very coordinated play here by the Stevens camp to try to generate some goodwill online like Abdul has, but of course, Haley Stevens is completely astroturfed and manufactured by corporations to make her seem more real, I guess, whereas Abdul's is actually a organic grassroots organization that has genuine interest in him winning, and so they don't need to be paid to like him. Because no matter what Stevens says or claims, she is not a progressive, right? I think she would even call herself a moderate either way, but here she is being asked about these weekend rallies that Abdul has with Bernie and AOC, and she had this to say.
I'm just curious if Mr. Sanders is willing to acknowledge the great work that I did alongside President Obama on the auto rescue. He had just himself gotten into the United States Senate, and I don't remember him being around for the auto rescue. I'm not in the complaining class of pointing fingers. I'm in the class of winning tough elections, of making sure someone like Mike Rogers in the state of Michigan here, this is a toss-up race.
It's just so lame, right? She immediately resorts to attacking Bernie Sanders on his auto rescue line that is some absolute bullshit and not the own that she thinks it is. And beyond all that, she spent more time shit-talking Bernie Sanders than Mike Rogers or Donald Trump, right? She has so much more smoke for the left than she does for the right, and that really says something about her character. She spends much more time talking about how terrible the left is than how amazing the center moderate camp is, because, newsflash, the center is not going to get us anywhere besides more Republicans in power, because that's what we've seen time and time again. We tried the center twice. It didn't really work. And as Hassan Piker just said earlier today, he never wants to see another Republican elected, and I'm with him.
I don't want a Republican to ever win another election ever again. And unless we create a viable alternative, a real opposition to these nefarious, malignant forces in American politics, there will always be a 2-year or a 4-year trade-off or a 6-year trade-off. Okay? Where power exchanges hands and people grow disillusioned and more apathetic. I don't want a strong Republican Party. I want no Republican Party.
The Republican Party has given us nothing but hardship and evil for as long as I can remember, and centrist Democrats try to find the middle ground with these right-wing fanatics when they never offer them the same courtesy back, right? The Republican Party is a completely outrageous, dangerous force, and they have been for decades, right? They've been on the cutting edge of the worst atrocities of the 21st century and have destabilized the world on more than one occasion. And again, the Democrats still continue to try to find a light. They try to find the good Republicans, the rhinos, whatever it may be, and yet the Republican Party never offers the same courtesy back to the left. The only Democrat that Republicans like is John Fetterman because he is just a Republican at this point, right? But if you're a progressive, it's even worse. Right, according to the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, if you're a progressive or a DSA or a Democratic Socialist or anything, you're an evil, communist, domestic terrorist hell-bent on ruining the United States, right? The DSA is an extremist organization, and not wanting to give tax dollars to Israel is actually a crime beyond belief that is punishable by throwing you into the ocean, right? We are at this pivotal moment where this country, where politicians in the Democratic Party need to learn that they must fight for people instead of the Epstein-class billionaires, right? The Republican politicians I'm already out, right? I'm out on them. They're too far gone. They're not, like, I don't know if there's any saving that, right? And many of their supporters are already in this cult just like they are, but many are not, right? Many just want cheap rent, good food, and better infrastructure and better schools for their family, right? And there are plenty out there that would be able to make that switch, right? And if there is a party out there that is actually giving them that, actually promising them a better tomorrow, some might be willing to change their mind. Right? And the Democratic Party is at this moment where they do have a real shot, a real moment to do something amazing. And I do genuinely believe that we can get there. And if you do too, be sure you subscribe to US Democratic Socialists for more news like this. But I think that's going to do it for me. I'm Iago Lashua. Have a great day. Goodbye.